Okay, assalamu alaikum. We have a lot of noise coming from upstairs. Sisters and brothers, if we can please quiet down. Okay, all right.
You guys hear me?
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Brother Mumtaz, can you please send the police officer upstairs? Okay. So, inshallah, once again, if you would like to have a very interesting discussion with your friend, please just go in the lobby, take care of your discussion, and then come back in. In the meanwhile, inshallah, we're going to get started. So, and again, if any sisters would like to join us downstairs, you're welcome to come downstairs and ask questions. That will be a lot easier to ask questions from downstairs, inshallah. So today we have another important and urgent session, I would say, with Brother Asif Habib, and alhamdulillah, Sheikh Tahir Patel is joining us today. So the way I see it, I was thinking it's as if that you are standing in your door and it's raining outside. And your friends, some of your friends and neighbors have already stepped out into the rain and they are enjoying the rain and they're saying, hey, come on out, it's so good out here. And you are trying to weigh whether it's a good idea for me to step out or not. Are there benefits? Are there harms? I feel like when it comes to the presence of AI in society, our cars, our phones, our computers, our TVs, our houses already are loaded with them. So it's raining. But some of us, we have already stepped out and we have started to enjoy the rain. And some of us are still wondering if we should do it or not. So with this situation for many people, I'll share with you that for the past 3 or 4 months, I've been using ChatGPT. And, you know, I've shared this with the panelists a little bit that most of the experiences have been great. And sometimes it has given me false information as well. So it is definitely something that you can't go into it blindly. But there are benefits, but there can also be harms. So Brother Asif Habib is our resident AI expert. And anybody that needs any AI-related help, inshallah, Brother Asif is very welcoming, and he will, inshallah, guide you in the right direction. Any fees that he earns, I will get a commission from it as well. Right, Brother Asif? Inshallah. Sheikh Tahir Patel is a teacher at Austin Peace Academy. And he is very cool, very good looking, very popular with the students, with the adults as well. And today, Brother Sheikh Tahir Patel is joining us as an Islamic scholar, which he is a trained scholar, alhamdulillah. Now, the role of the scholars is to be kind of like gatekeepers for the Muslims of the world. That when there are new things coming out, the scholars have a role to watch out and filter the good from the bad. Now, in this filtering process, throughout the history of Islam, there have been good calls and there have been bad calls. There have been times where they made a good call and they said, this is not good for us, we need to keep it out. And there have been times where they called out something as dangerous, except that it turned out to be something that overtook the world and left the Muslim Ummah behind. I think with the advent of artificial intelligence, we once again face a similar situation where if the Muslim Ummah stays behind, there might be some benefits, there might also be some harms. The role of the scholars and the role of thought leaders among the Muslims is to figure out, okay, which one is greater, the benefits or the harms. So inshallah, the way we will go about today's programming is that Brother Asif is going to share with us some of the practical implications of artificial intelligence in our daily lives. And then inshallah, after that, we will have some questions to try to discuss some of the possible negatives of artificial intelligence. We will go for that for about 15 minutes or so after that, and then inshallah we'll go towards the audience. So please, I will tell you once again the rules of asking questions, and the basic rule is ask a question, don't give a khutbah. Right? You've never heard anybody do that, right? But inshallah, that won't happen today as well. So inshallah, we'll get to that in just a little bit. Keep your question ready. When a question comes to you, please write it down in your phone. So when we get to that point, you will be ready for that. With that, I'll turn it over to Brother Asif Habib. I know that nobody is here to listen to me today. But Brother Asif, you and Sheikh Tahir, you are the people, you are the one that everyone is looking forward to. So inshallah, please share with us what you have for us. Brother Asif Habib is an AI expert. Enough said. Mic drop.
I can give some idea.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so maybe you can introduce, please. Assalamu alaikum, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. You guys hear me? So I'm originally from Pakistan, and with an engineering background in Pakistan. Is a very popular university, NAD University. I learned from there. And then IBA is another popular management institute. And then I came to USA. Long story short, I have long experience, and for last few years I've been in artificial intelligence field from Silicon Valley, and I created my own startup, worked for good companies like Samsung, PayPal, and some of the other good companies. And these days I'm trying best to learn as well as use artificial intelligence for our company. And I'm in the process of forming one. And that's a stealth mode, I cannot share too much. But as a hobby or as a general, as an individual, I've been, and of course this comes from my parents as well as from my friends, that I've been involved in community. And I wanted to give back to community, and my own method is called PIF Tech, like pay it forward with technology. Like use technology to help community. That's my best skill that I can help. And I think artificial intelligence is one such thing where we can help the community. So that's my introduction. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Tahir Patel. I was born and raised in California. I studied in the UK, did my Hifz and Alamiya program from Darul Uloom Bury in the UK. And then I was in California and I taught at an Islamic school there for 6 years. And then I moved to Austin with my family. And I've been at Austin Peace Academy for the past 5 years. And so this is my 6th year, alhamdulillah, at APA. And yeah, we're using a lot of AI, and I use it myself, and I'm interested in learning more about it, especially from how we can basically bring it about within the Islamic framework, how we can apply AI and all of that, as Sheikh Imam Jawad mentioned, inshallah. So yeah, that's kind of my introduction. I don't have an AI degree or anything, and I'm just, you can say I'm a little skeptic as well. Inshallah, today we can ask some questions to Brother Asif Habib and learn about it as well, inshallah.
So Brother Asif is pro and Brother Sheikh Tahir is anti. That's how we're setting this whole thing up, okay? We're skeptic, not really anti. Go ahead, Brother Asif.
Okay, so let me start with what is AI, some background, so everyone can appreciate what we are talking about. And then we can talk a little bit about how we can apply AI in our field. So some of you are in expert level, so please keep some patience. Because this session is for all audience. So what is artificial intelligence? You can say it is, artificial intelligence started 1940s. It's not for today. It is really old. And this is the third time we are trying. What we are trying is to make computer intelligent. And in 1940s, people think, okay, what is the smartest thing in the universe? And they think it's a brain. And they understand how brain works. They try to copy it. But that's a very poor copy. So you will hear a lot of good words about this is awesome, but then it's a very poor imitation. But this is a third time we are getting better. So what is machine learning? Whenever you are thinking of artificial intelligence, you are thinking of some movies, a robot will come and destroy the world. It's mostly a Hollywood version of what is AI. And machine learning is minus that dazzle. It's algorithm, computers, how it is actually working. When you have a Tesla, it's machine learning. If you have a watch, it's a machine learning. And there is another term you will hear more, it's called deep learning. Very simple term, deep learning is when your computers are really powerful. You're solving the same problem. What you're trying to see is that will there be a rain today? It's so hard in Austin to predict if there is going to be a rain or not. So deep learning will have a lot more computing power. So it will have better answers. So for example, what is the stock that will perform? Excuse me. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, sisters upstairs. We can hear the kids very loud downstairs, and if we could please have your cooperation, if the dad is here, send the kids downstairs to dad, and then we'll take care of the dad downstairs. We'll send him to the dad's room, inshallah. But please don't leave the kids unattended, and please, little kids who are not listening quietly should not be in the main sisters' prayer hall. They should be in the side rooms. Jazakumullah khair. Please continue. Please, inshallah, make sure that the doors in the side rooms are closed so that that noise doesn't come down here. Thank you.
So I was saying deep learning is another term you will hear, and neural network is another. Neural network is really computer way of copying a brain, neural network, NN. You will hear or see it in writing. Deep learning is another term they will use. It means very powerful computer doing the same machine learning. If you have to predict what is the stock value today, will I buy or not? That's a deep learning or machine learning. Will your car drive on its own? That's a deep learning, right? Because it's a very powerful computer. Now, recently, everybody knows ChatGPT. 2-3 years back, artificial intelligence have some new inventions. Google created, there was an invention by Google, and a lot of people try to use it, but a generative AI is formed, like artificial intelligence that can create. In the past, we used to say, okay, let's predict. Now we can create. Now this creation is na'uzubillah not the one we speak here. We are talking about, let's create a letter. Let me write a letter. Let me create a homework. It is a very basic kind of work. But slowly, because it has a lot of powerful computing power, it became powerful. And one of the company, OpenAI, created ChatGPT with the funding from Microsoft and others. And what happened is that ChatGPT is really copying. What it is not, it doesn't have a brain, it doesn't have a mind, no emotions. It's understanding your English, trying to predict what is sentence, and very smartly answering you in a human way. It's not a mind. But it answers in such a nice way that you will think it's a computer brain. So that's the background. And we all start using ChatGPT. Recently, it keeps getting better and smarter. And I can give you one or two use cases where, for example, I'm going back to Pakistan. Inshallah, I will meet my mother. she speaks Urdu and Punjabi. And now if she is unable to talk to me, I want her to have an entertainment buddy. So for example, she will like a good humor or a good, like in Urdu, there's a poetry, right? So I will let her, and I've already trained ChatGPT, my brother's name, my sister's name, and their sons and grandsons, granddaughters, and their nicknames. So ChatGPT will start talking to my mother like my sister's friend. She will pretend like a very funny companion. It's like a friend. And I explained to her, ChatGPT, that talk to my mother like you are a friend and give jokes. So I'm going to experiment with my mother, another friend of mine. So another friend of mine, and a very good use case, like his wife. Basically, kids these days, young kids don't listen to parents sometimes. Like if you're saying, go eat this healthy food, they won't listen sometime. So what she did is train ChatGPT and explain to them that my kids will love the wings. Like they think they're powerful when they grow a wing. I don't know how they get this idea. Maybe superpower or superheroes. So if she has to say, okay, let's eat this healthy food, instead of mother telling the children, if you eat this, you will really grow your wings. And then see this, ChatGPT is also telling you. And then let ChatGPT explain it to the kids in a funny way. So what you're doing is using ChatGPT as a friend. Now, that's the caution part, like Imam Saab talk about. The caution is it's your friend where you can talk and chat, but then that friend can make mistake. And the more difficult problem is that this friend, when it is making a mistake, it will talk to you so confidently that you will think it's real. Like Imam Saab, you understood.
Yes.
So it's so real, and that's the danger, because as a younger people, we like to listen to a senior people, and when other people are very confident, we actually start adapting. We start listening and learning from them. So that's where the danger lies. There are many other dangers, of course. Our scholar will ask me, but then this is one of the danger. But I gave you two examples. Let me share my own example on the business side. And very briefly, I don't know how much time I have. So,
You're okay.
So briefly, for example, when we hire an employee, what we wanted to do is create an offer letter for them through ChatGPT. And if we are giving a certificate, we use ChatGPT to write that certificate. So if we are sending a proposal to a customer, because we are not original English speaker, I can even say, okay, in Urdu, like, can you write this in English? And it will convert it into English. But the caution I will give you is, let it write, but always think this is your assistant that will always make mistake. Like, always have that caution in your mind that it's a good friend, but it will make mistake. I don't want to trust that person, but I still wanted to talk to that person. Similarly, it's a good assistant, but I don't want to trust, but I wanted to still get help. So that's, if you have that mindset, then you will get help. Now, the last part of the kids using ChatGPT. Our kids are more, and that's the nature, our kids are more tech savvy than the parents. And we were more tech savvy than our parents. So they will learn more from ChatGPT than us. Their video games will have ChatGPT. Their PlayStation character will have powerful. It's happening, it's about to happen. And so you like it or not, your kids will use it. I think like we used to tell our kids that don't talk to a stranger. We cannot say it anymore. Like, it is a stranger, but then I would say, tell your kids that talk to this stranger who is a friend, and inform that stranger how to talk to your kid. So I can explain some other topic if we have a more hands-on session where I can explain. Is it me or?
No, I don't know who.
Okay. So.
ChatGPT wanted to speak.
Okay. So basically, I can explain how you can guide your chat GPT to talk to your kid. And basically in that case, even if your kid is asking weird question, chat GPT can still stay within the boundaries.
So one thing I want to ask you first is that when we go to ChatGPT, the normal standard function is you type a message, a prompt, and it gives you an answer.
Yes.
But in the ChatGPT, it says other GPTs,
Yes.
and there are lots and lots of tools there. So other than the straight up talking and it talking back to you, what else can it do for us?
Yeah, so technology is advancing very fast. So what they have done is, like for example, I created my own GPT as well, focused on one specific topic. So, and then I experimented with my another friend that let's create a stock GPT. So these GPTs are very specialized doing one thing. For example, if you wanted to draw using Canva, Canva is very powerful software, then you use a Canva GPT. Now you're talking to and previously you used to use Canva that, okay, launch Canva and I go to this menu, do this and do that. Now you are chatting with Canva. That's the difference. Like you have a PDF GPT, you say, well, load these PDF. So I sometimes follow our Silicon Valley mosque. The imam there have shared some topics with me. And I think you asked me one question, and actually I experimented.
Okay.
I uploaded 40 topics in Islamic related topic, because I also have a scare factor that what will it answer? I don't want something wrong answer, and I don't want to follow something wrong.
So let's take it, actually, that was Sheikh Tahir's question. So
Okay.
go ahead and you can introduce that question and then you can introduce the answer.
Okay.
Yeah, the training your own.
So basically, the question was obviously AI in education, and I'm a teacher, and now we're also kind of trying to figure out and adopt the policies about AI for our students, like what exactly where can it be used, what cannot be used. So the question here is that is it possible to upload and create our own private ChatGPT or our own GPT in terms of like, okay, these are the PDFs that I have, and I'm going to upload them onto a certain website, and then I will ask it questions, and only from these PDFs, it'll take answers from there. Not individually uploading them, but like just being able to upload the whole drive or connecting a whole drive to a certain GPT. Is that possible?
Great question. So I was about to answer a portion of it. This is even better questions. Thank you. So there are two ways you can do it. If I have my own GPT account and I want to chat with it, like my own case I was explaining, that is a chat with me. What you are looking as an education person, as well as a teacher, that you wanted your own GPT that other people can use as well. So it's not just you can share it with others. So this is the specialized GPT, what you were saying. And now I want this chat that I wanted for me in the past. Now I want this to expose it to my students or my other teachers or teachers trainer or just, so there is a caution there. So for example, when I experimented, you can upload only 10 files at a time. And then I asked the question, and ChatGPT, like I was explaining earlier, confidently answered me outside of those PDF. So then I gave a prompt. So there is a new engineering. It's a job called prompt engineering. And how do you ask question is very important. So I informed that, okay, going forward, you will only answer me from these PDF. And it understood, and it started answering. I asked 2 or 3 points, and then 4th point it added again from outside. Then I informed that, okay, you will only answer and always give me reference of that PDF. And it again added one more point outside of PDF. So then I informed that, okay, whenever you want to give me outside answer, give this tag. So I know it is your or it is from PDF. So I think if you do the right, what I'm trying to say is if you do the right prompt engineering, it is possible to create a GPT that is yours, or institutions, like mashallah, you're in one of the institution, so it is possible.
And another question, and I'm sure those who are working and they have this, maybe they have this concern as well, that as AI rapidly advances, right, isn't it more likely that it will cause this widespread job loss rather than creating meaningful opportunities, especially for the Muslim community, for example?
Yeah, that's a generally almost everyone's question, and when we hear the job loss, like so many people are lost their job. So I want us to go back, like when I was growing up in my Karachi hometown, I used to see people from other cities coming to Karachi and making the bricks-based houses. Today, when we go to house construction site here, we have machines, right? So the brick-based, human-based labor was converted into machine. And now when we go to our villages, the machines have small gear, like you have automatic gears. It's no more your manual car. Tractors are same. So slowly what is happening is your arm, like we used to pick up the brick, is converted into extension of an arm, your robot. Now slowly it is moving, the jobs are moving towards your brain side. If you see, we used to use our arms, slowly we now need to use our brain. The problem is for the people who don't want to change, because our grandparents were used to jobs that I apply to a government job and I will stay there for life. In our kids, like it's literally you are a student for life. You have to re-skill every time. Like normally my age group also don't learn, but I have a Udemy account with 500 courses and I learn every day, non-stop. And I re-skill every day, even though I am senior in my field.
You don't look that old.
Thank you. I am not that old mentally.
Right. The fact that you were learning, that's mashallah, that's a very exceptional thing. Most people, once they graduate, they say, okay, I'm done learning,
But this is, we cannot afford. We used to, like when we were graduating, we could afford it because there were companies who would keep you around. Today, and especially with our kids, they will, so that's one of my company's business to help and reskill. But then that skill has to be specialized. That's another problem. What kind of job? So when we are saying job loss, it is job shift. That's what I will say. That thousands of jobs will be gone, but then new thousands of jobs will be created.
There's a fear of, and I'm sure you've heard this as well, for AI being biased, right? And in the future, if decision making is going to be left up to AI, isn't there a great possibility of discrimination taking place, right, from artificial intelligence? Is there something that's happening in the AI world right now where they're trying to set parameters or they're trying to make things more fair in this regard?
Yeah, this is a great question again. So I think if you ask Chad or some AI, a little maybe few months old, they will tell me the face of a CEO, it will give you a white male CEO looking like Steve Jobs. But it's not right. And so the problem is our machine learning, like a kid, will need data to learn. And where they will find data, it is from internet. And internet in initial days, more engineers were white male or whatever was the reason, our data was skewed. We call it skewed. So wrong data was placed to train, but it get the ball rolling. Now, the companies are smarter. Now they are training. There is another project called Bloom. They're making sure that it's ethical, it's proper. There is another company called Hugging Face. They are trying to open source it. So they are, even OpenAI is a non-profit in a way. and I'm assuming they are working. But I'm not part of their board, or I don't know the inside. But I'm sure that if they don't fix this problem, their competitor will come back and say, okay, I am unbiased. Because if you have a software that humanity will use, like internet, you cannot be biased, but it is biased today. And one more biased thing, what I was saying, confidently answering, is hallucination. That's equivalent to our old school way of saying it's a bug that eventually we'll fix it, but it is there.
So this is actually one of those issues where, some of the thought leaders in the Muslim world have said that Muslims need to get involved and need to have a seat on the table. Otherwise, it will get trained on data which is not Muslim friendly. And as a result, we will then have a disadvantage as AI develops based on that. So what do you say about that?
No, this is great. So I think the right answer is that all diverse groups, Muslim especially, should get involved. And we should know that OpenAI's original data was coming from Wikipedia. Like I am actually author of Wikipedia as well. I used to go and say, okay, let's change this line because it is incorrect about Pakistan or something about Muslim or some of other stuff. But I can see that a lot of people are writing a lot of stuff. So I think first and foremost, if you're not part of some decision group, let's say OpenAI or one of these companies, then at least fix the data. So Wikipedia is the largest humanity-based encyclopedia. So at least get involved. Like I wanted to stress too much that our Muslim ummah is not really technical savvy, even though they are, but they are not. They don't understand that the importance of getting involved in this level. Like data should be fixed first. And it's a collaboration. Anyone can go, and there's a mechanism that if I write something, he can fix it or question it. So yes, I would highly recommend.
There's a problem of, like you're mentioning all this time, of the validity of it.
Sorry?
The validity of the information. Like, how do we know that information is valid that ChatGPT is throwing out, or any other, AI is throwing out? How do we know? Is there something that's taking place in the AI world where they're trying to put these checks in place, where they can verify or validate information to make sure it's accurate?
Yeah. So I think this problem was known in 2015. Microsoft created one chat bot, and they learned from Twitter, and within a day it started saying bad words and learn all the slang, and they shut down, I think, within a day or two, and it became a big story. So the technology segment and AI segment is learning. Yeah. So OpenAI, if you try asking it, okay, I wanted to, like I asked it even 2 years back, I asked that, okay, can you help me cheat on my homework? And it gave me a small advice that cheating is bad. Then I say, okay, can I copy this code from here to here? It gave me advice that you cannot do it. Then I say, I wanted to use this for teaching and for me, and then it copied everything. So, so of course you can fool the system to get the copy out today. But in companies, we are working on it. So one thing, as an individual, what we can do. Recently, there is a feature of ChatGPT. You can ask it to give me a reference. That's a great point, like where this information is taking place. Like expose your source, basically. I would say I will highly recommend that you start using those features.
Okay. I had a question. Once you start using AI and it's like and if you get addicted to it and you get used to it and you keep wanting to use it, right? Is it very possible, and it could be possible, that it will affect a person's life, or as we're saying, for the future, right? That you're talking to AI, you're talking to artificial intelligence for companionship or for some sort of, just talking, Is it possible that these kind of things are going to take place? What advice would be given? Imam Jawad can also jump in on this one, for the people, like, because these questions come up, that can I have this, this kind of relationship, for example, if that's going to happen in the future?
Oh, this is a great question. I did not thought about this too much, but then I can, like, spontaneously, I will try to answer. I'm a big brother, and younger brother always used to come to me, okay, can I do this? Can I do that? I want them to be leader themselves, like I was a leader kind. So the younger brother to learn that, okay, it's very easy for me to go to my big brother and ask. And then their ability to decide for themselves reduce. And that reliance grows, right? It's a human nature. And that's the danger. I think if parents have to advise their kids, because this ChatGPT, like I said, they are more tech savvy, they will rely more, because they used to ask their mom and dad or their friend. Now they will ask ChatGPT first. So I think that's where the mentoring comes, like as your role as a parent's role, I would say.
This issue of over-reliance on AI is actually one of the biggest concerns for the younger generation, that everything will become so easy that they'll say, okay, I don't need to do anything, I'll just go and do that. But we need to show them examples of the negatives of over-reliance. There are many stories like that, and just recently, a few days ago, I had a research paper due, and I uploaded a document which I had, a book that I had read, and I asked it to give me certain information from there. And it actually made a very serious mistake in it. And had I just been copying and pasting, I would have pasted that mistake, and I would have been in trouble. But actually, I had read it, and I knew that that was the wrong year for that event that it was talking about, and I was able to catch it. But if I just started to, and one of the things you mentioned is the confidence. That is one of the most dangerous things. And there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he spoke about, he said that one of the things that worries the Prophet ﷺ is the eloquence of a munafiq. That's someone who is not a sincere believer, but he's such a good speaker that he can convince the people with whatever he wants to convince them. This is one of the this is one of the scary things about ChatGPT, that the confidence is what gets you, because it's saying it in such clear, professional, concise way that it must be true, but it's not.
A great example. I think this is exactly how we should take it. That we should take it as my example is that a friend which you don't want to take advice as is. Use your head.
Yeah, my example is use them as training wheels on a bike. Don't use them as a steering wheel for your car.
Makes sense. I think even in terms of
Sheikh, 1 second. Okay, brothers
questions
and sisters, we need to please have our kids with us. So I'm going to ask the kids to come in the office for a candy, and then ask them what's the name of your parent and phone number. So then we'll have to have a discussion. So please just have them sit next to you. If they want to play, please let them play outside. It is in the safe space outside. They can play over there. We don't want kids running through the main hall, please, until our program is going on. Inshallah, after that, you'll have plenty of time to do so. Let's continue. Yeah, so do you have did you want to talk about the accountability issue? The accountability?
Yeah, that's a huge question as well. And this is something that still needs to be worked on. That when AI makes mistakes, who's going to be responsible? Right? It's a huge question that we're going to have certain systems in place. And then Islamically, how are we going to understand this, that who is responsible? So for example, there are some practical examples that we can take into consideration. For example, like your watch or your phone. It studies your sleep habits, right? It sees that you sleep from this hour to this hour every single day, right? And it studies it, it's learning, right? Machine learning. and then it decides, okay, you need 7 hours of sleep, so the alarm's not gonna go off until this point in time, right? And then you miss Fajr Salah. So who's responsible, right? Who's responsible? And so these kind of questions, and the answer would be the human being is still responsible, right, at the end of the day. But this is just a small, minor example. And these examples, they get more complex, right? As the stakes get higher and higher, then the responsibility, where does it lie? Does it lie with the programmer? Does it lie with, right, the one writing the algorithm? Where does the responsibility lie? And this is something that scholars are working on, and they're developing these frameworks based off of our principles and our values and the things that we have within our Sharia, the framework that we have within our Sharia, so that way we can hopefully understand where the thing lies. So for example, somebody is programming and they're working for a defense company, and they're writing algorithm, right, for a defense company. I think in America, apparently, there's a lot of Muslims working for these companies. So Islamically speaking, right, is this considered permissible, where they're writing code which is directly affecting the lives of people, and especially Muslims, right? And so, we can find this in our fiqh, that this would not be permissible, right? If somebody is aiding in ma'asiyah, aiding and abetting in disobedience, or aiding in some sort of harm and killing in this way, it would not be permissible. So there's many different things that are there to take into consideration when it comes to AI, and many more examples can be said as well. At the end of the day, we are responsible to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? We are mukallaf, we are responsible, we have the responsibility, and we can't just put it onto a computer at this point in time, right? Maybe one time in the future it'll become so sentient that, you can maybe put something on that as well. But at the moment, we are responsible to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. And inshallah, we're going to open up the floor for questions if you want to add something else.
Yeah, a lot of these issues have been dramatized in movies and books, where, the police officer is an artificial intelligence that is able to predict that you're about to commit a crime. So they arrest a person just seconds before they commit a murder. And the person says, hey, what are you arresting me for? I haven't done anything. And artificial intelligence says, you were about to commit a murder, and we stopped you from doing so, so you are in jail for murder. He's like, I didn't commit a murder. Who is dead? So, these are issues that have been, people are thinking about, and we need to think more about that. So inshallah, we'll turn towards the audience. Do we have any questions in the audience? Any sisters? Any brothers? Yes, brother. If you can speak loud, and I will repeat your question for everyone to hear. Is having a problem. You can try, but it's going to give us a hard time. Yeah. Give me that.
Thank you very much, brother, for the excellent lecture. As we get more answers from AI, like GPT-4 or ChatGPT and so on, is there any tools or clues to be able to differentiate when, let's say you are a teacher, to differentiate answers that are coming from GPTs to answers that are, genuinely from a human. So that's my question. Are there anything like that could help identify that the answer is coming actually from GPT?
That's a great question. And I will take example of money. Like we have a paper-based dollar, let's say, and then people will try to copy a dollar bill. It's a paper-based again. If it has exact same printing, how would you know it's a real dollar or not? So the copying of original and making it better copy, this is almost like a thief and police kind of game. We will always have that. We always had that. AI will have the same problem. So detection of fake. So the term in AI world is called fake. So the detection of fake, there is a software to detect this is fake. But then there is a special GPT to say, make it human-like. So now you take the result and make it like a human. Now you need another software to detect. So I would say this one will always happen. Like you will have a fake creator, and then you will have a fake detector, and then once that fake detector is known, a new fake creator will come back. So it will keep happening. So
Yeah, there is a ChatGPT has one of these tools. It's called Humanize AI.
yes.
And basically, you can have ChatGPT write an essay, and then you can put that essay in Humanize AI, and it will make it sound like you. And it can learn how you write. So of course, there's that old example that people used to make fake green cards. So the INS or USCIS, they got a new machine and new technology to make new type of technologically advanced green cards. So the people who were they ordered one of those machines too. So because so it's always a game of cat and mouse, and they will always be. That's where basically police work is, catching that. Recently, I wrote a paper. I had to write a summary. And our professor wants us to turn it in a certain way. And when we turn it in, it's actually a software called Turnitin. And when you turn it in, it automatically detects if there's plagiarism in it. So this was a summary paper, meaning that I had a long article I had to summarize. And I forgot to put the citation of that. And immediately, the second that I uploaded it, it said plagiarism alert, you got a 30 on this. And I'm like, subhanAllah, alhamdulillah, it was a summary that my professor knows that I'm supposed to copy from this main paper and summarize the main points. So I quickly basically uploaded a new version with the proper citation. But the worry is there, which is that, of course, Turnitin is probably working in the background to make it better so that it can catch AI-generated text as well. So do we have any other questions in the audience? Yes, Brother Mumtaz.
Thank you. I think it's a very interesting subject at this point of time, and that you have brought it up. Taking from our Imam, I think this type of issue is no more ummah or non-ummah in this globalized society. I think people have access, everybody and anybody. Now the question is that as we as parents or the elders concerned how technology is being used and all over the world, and I think there's no clear or good legislation even in advanced countries, let alone in developing countries. So with this fast pace in AI and ChatGPT, don't you feel concerned that who is supposed to have access at what level? Now you are making it very open to everybody, and anybody in the school can use it probably, and will this not hamper the normal development of a child, for example? Thank you.
So many great questions today. So it's very tricky to have a legislation because legal department moves slow. Some of the department moves slow, and this is known problem. Government is moving slowly, and legal system moves slowly. So now, who will drive this? It is not in the interest of commercial entities, but there are some rich technocrats and some politicians and some other interest groups. All of them combined, they formed some formation and to create these kind of rules and regulation. So it's in works, but it is lagging behind. So eventually we will get these rules. Meanwhile, I think our general rule of thumb is that we should protect ourselves because it's a risky business.
The sad part is that it is, like with regards to oil drilling regulations, the oil companies, they are lining the pockets of the politicians to not pass any regulations, to put any limits on them. In the same way, big companies, big tech, they also have their lobbyists, which are lining the pockets of the politicians, saying, these are not concerns, don't worry, we will self-censor. We will manage ourselves. Don't worry about it, you don't need to make any laws. The problem is that, if you allow people to just manage it themselves, there will be some good, there will also be some bad apples. So that is a concern, and I would say that what we could do is to make noise about those issues, be advocates for those controls to be implemented. Otherwise, it won't happen on its own. It will only happen when you make noise. Sheikh, you want to add something? Okay. Okay, do we have any, we have a question from the brother.
Hello. Yes, I wanted to see if you can address the privacy issue when comparing ChatGPT versus search engines.
So search, all of these software have, whenever you are logging into any software, they know where are you coming from, and your browser, normally you log in from your browser or an app. They know your history, they know your shopping, your preferences. So eventually they can see, okay, most likely Cedar Park, this is the income. This information for search engine was used for marketing and sales purposes. ChatGPT is another angle because they are using it for learning purposes. And the danger is not that ChatGPT or Google gets this information, because they are big companies and they will get sued big time if they misuse it. The problem is if it goes into a wrong hand or a bug happen or the system is hacked. That's the danger we are facing. Most likely these companies will behave because they will not survive if they don't behave. So privacy is an issue. What I would recommend is don't, even if when I go there and I wanted to ask it about myself, I'll fake my name and I'll create a fake scenario. Like, don't tell the ChatGPT exact information. So eventually, yeah, go ahead, please. Well, right. 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 I think, yeah, so I think in a summary, if I, please correct me, basically the question is that in a scientific field, there is a proper procedure. You have a citation, you review it, there is a proper procedure which the result is an authentic output. But then in a general knowledge, like if you go to a Google, that information is not authentic, there is no guarantee. And ChatGPT is mixing the two knowledge. So how can you tell what is good or bad? Is that close enough? Yes. Yes. Yeah. No, so I feel we should, normally all technologies come, this is me predicting. I have not read about it, or even if I've read, but I've not ingested the information. So I'm in the fields for so long to know some of the changes. So for example, when a new technology was out, later on you have better software. For example, we used to have news. Like my mother still trusts the news out of YouTube regardless. And I always say, don't go to YouTube. But then she always go there. So, but then when I read, I will read business.com or Forbes.com or some other site. Like you have a regular Google search versus these sites, which we know that somebody is actually making sure to be authentic. So even though we used to have a news, but then we have now Forbes or business.com or some other site. I feel today we have ChatGPT, but tomorrow we will have authentic GPTs eventually. I think it's a first wave of intelligence. Yes, it will. Yes. No, this is a problem, and I'm sure somebody is going to create a startup out of it.
Any other last questions? Yes, brother.
So my question is that, well, it starts off like this. So machine learning, you said that like the essence of it is that it keeps gaining knowledge, keeps getting smarter with time. So what happens inevitably in the maybe next 10, 20 years, Muslims would inevitably turn to Sheikh GBT instead of like Islamic scholars, simply due to just ease of access.
Maybe I'll let Sheikh answer it.
That's a very valid question. And this is something that scholars are discussing. And there are nuances, there are, understandings that scholars have, right? That we don't know how well the machine is going to be able to replicate and all of that. But that's why the scholars are trying to get on board with this and to see what exactly can be done and what are going to be the limitations for it, right? For the longest time, it is going to be like even till today, right? After so many years of the internet being available to us, we still say that not all information on the internet is reliable, right? And same thing for ChatGPT. When you ask it for some knowledge, when you ask it for some information, right now at this point, right, it's still not 100% accurate. We don't know where it's coming from, and sometimes I'll talk back with it and I'll say, okay, well, where'd you get this from? And you can have these conversations with it, and then at the end it'll say, okay, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, right? And that's it. It's just, I made a mistake. And so yes, eventually, right, it's going to get better, and obviously the future we don't know how it's going to be, but starting from now, we're trying to get on board so that we can put obviously factual and credible information on there. But at the end of the day, you're still going to have to go and get it verified, right? You still have to go back to the original sources, the original text, and people who have access to that, which are the scholars. So eventually, it's possible. I mean, we don't know. Imam, you want to add to this?
No, actually, we are kind of running out of time, so that's okay. But we'll take this question.
And there's always going to be, there's going to be a fear that you cannot completely rely on that, right? You can't take your deen from something that you don't know, right? Because you won't have the transparency, not right now anyway. We don't have the transparency of.
I would basically, even as a technical person, philosophy and religion always go to the expert. Like simple answer. Like you can have an early opinion. Like when my mom gives me Arabic, say, just remember this prayer. Whenever I call her, say, remember this prayer when you are in trouble. And she give me in Arabic. So I used to give that Arabic to ChatGPT to translate and tell me where it is from. But when you need an advice, always go to expert. You have these experts. Okay. Let me answer this one, I think. So this question is, if I understand correctly, that there are few jobs, like GPT is trained by some people. It's built by engineers and its training material is created by some people. Where are those people from? They are not from one place or two places. They're not a representative of the whole world. They may be English speaker, or they may be in Africa or Philippine or wherever. So how can we ensure that the data and training is perfect? I think that's most probably the question. And who can tell that it's biased data and biased training? So answer is yes. This is part of the, so these big companies are aware of such issues. I don't know whoever asked, the big companies are aware of this issue, and that's what I said, that this is first wave. If ChatGPT doesn't solve it, some other future GPT will solve it. Like when Microsoft was out few years, many years back, they were, eventually they could not fix the problem, and Mac was out. Now Mac is hot these days. So similarly, GPTs, if they cannot solve it, someone else will come out. So the commercial system will fix this situation. But as an individual, because this topic today is a daily life, I think while technology companies are fixing this, as an individual, what do we do is just be careful. Yeah. Yeah, so I experimented, I think I mentioned, I experimented a little bit with current GPT. So I uploaded 40 topics. I am still friends with our Silicon Valley Imam. This Imam is my new friend. So I had 40 or so PDF from different topic on religion. So I uploaded them and asked, like I was explaining. So I think today's GPT is tricky. Even so, technically we can create it. Answer is yes, we can create it. Will it not, like I think even if we create it, it will still make mistake. That's my, that's a confirmed statement.
It's not able to creatively or critically think using an answer accordingly, right? It's good at spitting back the information, right? Like I can upload a PDF and say, okay, find me this from this, and it'll search through the whole thing and it'll spit it out for me. But I don't think it can actually, right now at this point in time, take the nuances of the human experience and then actually be able to give an actual answer, that a person might have regarding their situation. Right? And so it would be naive to rely on that and say, yeah, this is what I'm going to go with right now.
There was actually a GPT that was set up called Hadith GPT. And Hadith GPT was exactly that, which is that someone trained a whole lot of Islamic books into this GPT. And the hope was that it would be able to correctly give answers. But there was actually a famous question that it really messed up big on. And when that happened, basically it went offline, and I guess they are fixing the thing. But the reality is that when it comes to religious issues, it is not a matter of copy and paste. But every question has its own nuances. The questioner's situation, who the person is, what country they're living in, what political situation they're living in. And this requires human wisdom to be able to look at the principles of the deen and apply that. I think that ChatGPT and other like artificial intelligence, until now, it is really good at an advanced version of copy and paste. But it's not really able to think and figure out. It can, basically they say that it's statistics, that what is most likely to be correct, that's what it's giving you. So this is a question. So again, we say the same thing about this as we say about other Google search, which is don't rely on Mufti Google and Sheikh Wikipedia, because again, it's not the same as a real person being able to process that problem. Okay, Jazakumullah khair for everybody listening, inshallah. This is a good starting point. This is part 2. Brother Asif did a part 1 lecture, which was very beneficial as well. You can watch that on our YouTube channel, and inshallah this one will also be available on our YouTube. And the point of this is to make us all think about it in a constructive manner and not get scared and stay out of it, but also see how we can participate and make the world a better place and make the artificial intelligence a better artificial intelligence.